I want to love. I want to dead. I want to eat this fresh baked bread. But is there something as too much bread? The answer? No. However, we do have too much water. I mean, really, 5 Great Lakes? Why do we need all 5? There's enough fresh water. Why would we ever need that much fresh water ever, even for like all the countries on Earth? I made a petition to make Lake Ontario into an amusement park, but the government of Canada disagreed with me, said it would be bad for the environment or something. So I decided to do the next best thing, turn Lake Ontario into bread, because bread needs water to be made, and we have lots of water. So unfortunately, I can't afford to turn an entire lake into bread, so we're just going to use math to figure out how much of each ingredient we're going to need in order to make this possible. Okay, first we're going to need to figure out the base ingredients needed for a 2-pound loaf of white bread. So here's the list. Alright, now that we have our base requirements for a 2-pound loaf, let's see how much water is in Lake Ontario. That's a lot of water. 1.6 times 10 to the power of 14 liters of water, or 1.64 quadrillion liters. That's a lot. So the Robin Hood baking website for a 2-pound loaf of bread says that around 250 milliliters of water goes to 3,000 milliliters of bread, which is an odd way to put it, but I can live with that. So we just got to do the math here. That means that we have 19,000 cubic meters of bread. So now all we have to do is scale conversion rates for all the other ingredients, and then we'll be golden. Alright, so here's our ingredient list for Loaf Ontario. That's a good name. So 1.64 quadrillion liters of water. This is just Lake Ontario. We're going to need 3.7 octillion cups of flour, 6.9 billion tons of yeast, 160 septillion sticks of butter, which is a lot, 260 sextillion liters of milk, and a pinch of salt so that's less bland. So, as we all obviously know, Lake Ontario is heavily polluted. It's one of the most polluted freshwater lakes on Earth. So we can't actually use that water to make the bread. So I'm just going to take the water from Lake Ontario, completely purify it, and now it's perfect filtered fresh water. So for this bread, we're going to use a bread maker. The bread maker inside must be at least 380 kilometers wide, 380 kilometers long, and 50 kilometers high. So from now on, everything is going to be just hypothetical math, because we don't have that much metal on Earth, and we have no way of obtaining it. Alright, let's turn this thing on. Yeah, that's what I thought. Add the fantasy backup generator. There we go. You see, this bread maker has to heat up such a massive space to such a massive temperature that the inside of the machine is now hotter than the surface of the sun, which is bad. So now we'd have to wait around 3 hours until the bread's made, so let's just wait. Alright, it's been 3 hours now, so let's see this bread. So, we have this bread, but now the world is dead. So the energy required to make this bread fully baked like an actual loaf of bread would be more energy than the world produces in a decade. So all of the earth has just gone dark. We have nothing, we have no energy now. All the flour, all the wheat, all the yeast on the world, missing. It's been put into Lake Ontario to turn into bread. The entire southwest of Canada is just shadowed by a bread-shaped figure in the horizon. This megaloaf stretches about 60 kilometers into the atmosphere, which is more than halfway to space. And this monstrosity contains 10 quadrillion calories, which is enough for the average American's daily diet. So the average male consumes around 2,600 calories a day, and the average female consumes around 1,800. So we're just going to average that out to 2,200 calories a day. So I decided to hit my friend up, who just happens to be a doctor in bread science. So I'll show you that interview. So, do you think that this bread would be possible? And if not, why?
So why won't this work? Just a few reasons. We don't have enough resources. As we had talked about previously, yeast is a very important thing, very hot topic right now. Everyone wants to get their hand on yeast. So getting the amount of yeast you need to fill that much water with that much bread and bake it would be astronomical. Plus, to bake this bad boy, we would need something like the sun. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't just take a trip up to the sun and say, can you bake some bread? And they can't say yes, because the sun cannot speak. Therefore, I'm very sorry to say, but these resources are not at our disposal, and we are not able to bake this bread. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you anyways.
It was nice talking to ya.
All right, so let's get back to the topic at hand. Let's say you were really hungry. You wanted to eat this entire bread by yourself, no friends. So if you wanted to be selfish and just eat this all, it would take you a nice cool 67 sextillion days to eat, which is going to take a while considering the universe has only been around for 3 trillion days. So you're going to witness the heat death of the universe before you finish this monstrous loaf. Alright, so how about a slice of this? Conveniently, if we use the standard half-inch cut that most grocery stores use to cut their bread, there will be an almost perfect 1-to-1 ratio between Canadians and slices of bread. So, that's nice. So let's revisit some questions from the start of this video. Is there such thing as too much bread? Yes. Is it worth it to create this? No. Were you not listening? And also, even if we had the resources, should we create it? The answer is no, and for one reason. Bread spoils. In like a week, it'll go all moldy. We'll probably end up creating a new form of life or something with all the bacteria in there. So, moral of the video is don't turn Lake Ontario into bread. Turn it into an amusement park instead.